comprehension 啦，或者呢份卷咧，最主要咧就係講一個叫做Frank 嘅 detective。咁啊係邊個寫咧？係 David 寫嘅。咁啊，所以 David writes a story about detective called Frank for a school project. The detective. Frank was exhausted. After all, he had been a detective for nearly 30 years, but it was his last day at the office, and he felt a deep sadness because he had to say goodbye to all of his friends. 咁佢已經係好攰啦。點解好攰咧？係指佢因為咧佢已經做偵探做咗30年，咁而呢一日咧就係佢即係退休之前最尾一日翻工啊 ，the last day at his office。咁啊，佢又好唔開心啦。佢唔單止好攰，亦都好唔開心，因為點解咧 ？He had to say goodbye to all of his friends。咁即係話一齊做嘢嘅人咧好多啦。咁但係佢咧係今日咧係最後一日就翻去呢個寫字樓做嘢啦。He arrived at exactly 10 minutes to 9, as always, and then made himself a cup of coffee before going to sit at his desk to start working at exactly 9 o'clock. Frank was always punctual and took his work very seriously. 即係話佢係一個非常準時嘅人，亦都咧做嘢係好認真嘅。咁你點知咧？佢係幾點鐘翻到公司啊？就係 10 minutes to 9，即係話8點50分咧就到達嗰個公司啦。咁 as always， 即係佢一定咧係咁多年以來都係咁準時嘅咧。always 咧即係經常都係。咁啊，整杯咖啡俾自己啦，跟住去到 exactly 9 o'clock 就9點鐘準時咧就會開工啦。The day passed without incident until 10 minutes to 5. When Frank's telephone rang, he picked it up, wondering who it could be. 咁樣咧就嗰日又冇乜特別大事發生啦。Without incident， 咁留意呢個字 incident 咧就唔等於呢一個嘅 accident。accident 點解咧？就係意外嘅呢個字。但係咧 incident 咧就係解呢個事件啦。咁全日咧就冇乜即係事情發生啦。但係去到10 minutes to 5， 即係話4點50分嗰陣時，即係就嚟放工嗰陣時啦，就發生咩事咧？就有個電話響啦。咁 he picked it up。it 咧係指乜嘢咧？就係指翻個 telephone 啦，即係佢即係咩叫 pick it up 咧？即係意思去接聽個電話啦。就喺度諗會係邊個咧 ？Wondering who it could be， 即係諗緊究竟呢個可能係邊個人打電話嚟啦。Hello, he said. Hello, Frank. It's Jimmy. Jimmy was Frank's boss and a very important man. We need you to work on a new case. 咁啊 ，Frank 咧就收到邊個電話咧？就係 Jimmy 啦，而 Jimmy 咧就係阿 Frank 嘅老細啦，而係亦都係一個好重要嘅一個人物。咁啊，竟然喺佢退休嗰日嘅最尾即係10分鐘啦，假設佢5點放工啦，就會話叫佢要有一個 new case， 有一個新嘅案件要做。But I'm retiring today. I'm not solving cases anymore. 咁雖然佢係偵探啦，但係佢話我今日退休咯喎，仲有10分鐘就破唔到案㗎喎，咁樣。咁佢話咧，我唔諗住做其他嘢㗎啦。咁 I know, but we really need you. I don't understand why. 跟住佢話我哋需要你啊，跟住就話跟住佢就話我唔明啊，點解啊？咁佢就解釋啦，就係 because you are the best detective in town. That's why. It's up to you, Frank, but we really need your help. 咁樣咧就咁啊擦佢鞋啦，就話你係最好噶嘛，咁所以任你啦。咩叫 up to you 咧？即係任你啦 ，Frank， 但係我哋真係好需要你嘅幫忙啊，咁樣。咁 Frank 咧 was reluctant to agree. He had been looking forward to retirement for so long, but it sounded like they really need him. 咁佢好不情願啦，唔想同意嘅，但係佢因為佢期待咗呢一個嘅退休嘅生活已經好耐㗎啦，咁但係又聽嚟好似話真係好似佢哋好需要佢咁喎。All right, Jimmy, I will do it. I will take on one last case. 咁佢話好啦，我幫你做啦，呢個係我最後一個 case， 真係最後啦咁樣。咁我哋睇下呢個第一條問題啦。Why was Frank feeling a deep sadness when he arrived at work？ 咁點解佢係非常之唔開心咧？點解會唔開心咧？退休佢有講過嘅，就係因為咧。佢話咧，佢要乜嘢啊？He had to say goodbye to all of his friends， 就係個原因啦，就係第一條嘅答案啦，就係因為佢要同佢啲朋友 say goodbye。咁你問你 why 咧，你就會答翻，你睇翻呢個過去式啦。This was because Frank 咁啊寫翻呢個人做乜事咧？就係、Frank had to 咧，即係一定咁嘅意思。其實咧 have to 咧就係即係等於 must， 即係一定要 had to say goodbye to all of his friends， 即係佢個朋友要唔見啦，大家。How long did it take Frank to make a cup of coffee？ 咁啊 ，how long 即係乜嘢咧？多長，即係多久，即係用咗多長幾長嘅時間，要先至可以整一杯咖啡。咁啊，記住啦，逢係 how long did it take 嘅啦，個答案咧係個 take 之後。咁啊，我哋由 it 開始寫，但係我哋一睇睇要究竟用幾耐時間啦。咁其實咧，佢就話佢係 10 minutes to 9， 即係8點50分啦。咁接住咧就喺幾點鐘就佢翻去個位度咧就 exactly 9 o'clock。咁雖然有啲學生話整一杯咖啡可能係2分鐘嘅啫，咁可能佢又飲啊成，但係其實呢度嘅文章嘅意思就係話佢係需要即係用咗10分鐘咯，即係話佢8點50分就到達公司，然後做咖啡做到9點鐘開工。咁所以佢要整杯咖啡係幾耐咧？咁其實佢嘅意思就係 it。咁留意呢個係 did 啦，所以呢個 take 咧就要轉過去式啦。It took Frank 10 minutes to make a cup of coffee。好啦，接住啦，第3 ，Why did Jimmy want Frank to work on the new case？又係問點解啊？點解佢老細要佢咧係即係明明退休都要做一個新嘅 case 咧？咁上面就有講啦。咁佢就話點解咧？佢就問 because 乜嘢啊？就係 because he is the best detective in town， 就係因為佢咧係呢個即係喺呢個鎮裏邊咧係一個最好嘅一個偵探啦。咁所以唔可以唔揾佢。咁你就亦都係答翻 this was because。咁啊原因咧，其實上面由 because 開始抄，不過 your 咧就變 he was 啦，或者 Frank was 都得。The best detective in town， 即係話咧喺呢個鎮裏邊咧最好嘅一個嘅偵探啦。第4題啦 ，Why was Frank reluctant to agree to work on the case？ reluctant 即係不願意、唔想咁嘅意思啊 ，not willing to， 即係點解其實佢唔想去做呢個 case 咧？咁其實好簡單啦，又係問你 why， 呢度又係 this was because 啦。咁佢 reluctant 點解啊？因為呢個後邊啦，佢話 Frank was reluctant to agree。咁點解 ？He had been looking forward to retirement for so long。咁好啦，原因就係接住嗰句咯，就係因為佢咧。期待咗好耐㗎，咁唔想做呢個最後一單 case， 咁你就會寫翻 this was because， he had been looking forward to retirement for so long， 佢已經等咗好耐。唔想再拖啦。What word in the story has the same meaning as very tired？ 好攰嘅意思啦。文章裏邊有好攰係一開始就係 exhausted 啦。exhausted 即係 means 等於 very tired 嘅意思。咁所以呢一度咧就會寫翻咧就係exhausted， 咁因為作為第一個字啦，咁就會大草啦。exhausted 照抄後邊啦。Has the same meaning as very tired。好啦 ，What does it in line 8 refer to？ 咁頭先我哋咧讀嗰陣時已經解咗噶啦。It 係指乜嘢咧？就係 he picked it up。It 咧就係 the telephone。OK， 嗰個佢嘅電話啦，即係佢個電話就響起，咁所以咧佢就 picked it up。咁呢度咧開翻即係一個雙引號啦，個 it 個 I 就要大草啦。In line 8 refers， 咁記住要加翻個 s 嘅，因為呢個係問你 does 啊嘛，咁個 refer 要加 s。 to Frank's telephone， 即係話咧佢個電話。第7題啦，究竟佢問你it was 即係 not true 啦 ，it was Frank's last day at work before retirement， 呢個係其實啱啦，因為佢係 last day at work。Frank started working at exactly 10 minutes to 9， 唔係啊，佢係9點鐘先開工㗎。Jimmy asked Frank to work on one last case， 係啊，佢又叫佢做多一個 case。Frank always took his work very seriously， 有講咧，佢話佢好認真嘅喺文章裏邊，咁所以咧就係唔啱嘅嘢咧就係 at exactly 10 minutes to 9， 佢係10 minutes to 9咧係到達嗰個 office 嘅時間，就唔係佢開始做嘢，唔係 started working 嘅時間。好啦 ，comprehension 2啦 ，in the story Frank puts copies of the documents below up all around town. Wanted, the police are trying to catch a criminal known as Dangerous Mike, who has stolen 50,000 from a local bank. 咁即係原來嗰個罪犯係發生咩事咧？就係呢個 criminal 啦，係罪犯咧，就係叫做咩名啊 ？Dangerous Mike 啦，而呢個 Mike 咧就偷咗幾多錢咧？5萬蚊啊！ If you have any information, please contact the police station immediately by calling 67894321。就係話如果任何資訊咧，就唔該你揾個警察局啦。There is a reward of 1,000 for any information that leads directly to the arrest of the criminal。咁就話咧係有一個獎金，而個獎金就係1000蚊啦。就如果你任何人咧係能夠可以捉到個罪犯咧，就會俾呢筆金錢佢啦。Below is a description 咧就係嗰個嘅描述。咁你會發覺嗰個Dangerous Mike 咧都好高嘅喎，6 feet。FT 咧即係 feet， 即係6尺高。Very fat 又肥喎又高喎。Notable 即係令人注意到嘅特徵係乜嘢咧 ？Beard 就係佢有好大即係佢有大匹嘅胡鬚嘅。Thank you for your cooperation， 多謝你嘅乜嘢 cooperation 啦 ？cooperation 咧就係合作啦。咁樣咧呢一個通告咧就係 all around town， 即係周圍都連晒呢一張通告，就一個尋人啟事呢一個。即係揾呢個罪犯嘅啟示，咁所以呢個咧就會係一定係一個 poster 啦，即係連到周圍都係嘅。Who are the police trying to catch？ 嗰個人咪就叫 Dangerous Mike 咯。咁需要係必須寫咗個名出嚟嘅，就唔可以話係 a criminal， 可以話 a criminal called Dangerous Mike， 但係咧個名就叫 Dangerous Mike， 或者係可以寫清楚啲啦，就係 a criminal called。記住咧，就係呢度係名嚟嘅，所以咧 dangerous 又係要大草啦，個 D 字 Mike 都係要大草嘅。What is the reward for information leading to the arrest of the criminal？ 有啲咩獎金咧？咁頭先都講咗啦，就係有 a reward of 1,000， 獎金咧就係1000蚊啦，1000蚊嘅獎金。What should people do if they have any information？ 如果有任何資訊嘅話，就做咩好咧？有冇任何 information 咧？就係 please contact the police station immediately by calling 呢個 number。咁呢一個咧就係應該要做嘅嘢啦。咁唔需要寫個 please 嘅，就係淨係contact the police station， 即係揾個警察局啦 ，police station。by calling 67894321。How tall is the criminal？ 呢個咧係佢幾高咧？頭先我哋都講過啦，佢好高嘅6 feet， 或者好似上面咁寫6 FT 咁都得嘅。好啦，到個 preposition 啦。David writes an entry from Frank's diary， 咁幫阿 Frank 咧寫咗個日記啦。咁記住呢個古仔係David 寫嘅，咁所以呢度咧就有個日記啦，就寫咗就 Frank 嗰個做啲乜嘢啦。I was so excited about my retirement， 即係話咧佢好緊張啦，因為可以退休啦。But now it looks like I will be waiting for that day a little longer， 即係話咧要等呢一日子咧，要等多一陣間。I was going to have a retirement party on Saturday， 日子咩 day 就 on 啦 ，at 7 o'clock。 喺7點鐘啦。But I suppose that it will have to be cancelled。而家咧就要取消呢一個嘅退休 party 啦。I have saved up all my money for my retirement， 就係話儲咗好多錢咧去退休啦。I plan to travel around the world， 環遊世界。And maybe live in another country for a while， 即係住喺另一個國家一段時間啦。But most of all, I want to spend more time， 因為 spend 咧就會係乜嘢啊 ？With my family， 即係同佢家人咧係即係會有多啲時間嘅相聚嘅時間啦。I suppose I'm happy to help somebody with something。This last case because people are in trouble，in trouble 即係有麻煩啊。But I hope that it doesn't take too long。咁佢就話希望咧唔會需要佢太多時間啦，就可以搞掂呢個 case， 然後咧佢就可以真真正正退休啦。好啦，輪到 tenses 啦。The story continues below。咁啊，接住發生咩事咧？就 Frank 咧喺 office 啦。Frank 乜嘢 ？In his office when the phone rang， 電話又響咯噃。咁你留意到呢個 when 啦，就代表咗應該係有一個係 continuous， 即係有一個進行式啦。咁而呢一個咧係 past tense， 所以呢一個你會知道呢個喺度做緊嘢啦，就係 was working。Frank was working in his office when the phone rang. Hello, Frank. It was Jimmy. Dangerous Mike 乜嘢 ？The bank on Main Street last night and 又偷咗3萬喎。咁啊係嗱，你會見到因為佢有講過話 last night 啦，咁所以呢個 visit 啦就係一個過去式啦 visit。and 跟住咧，因為 and 啦，咁前後都係講緊尋晚嘅嘢咧，就將個 steal 做過去式就 stole 30,000。Oh no! I 乜嘢 some paperwork now。現在啦，咁佢咧而家我即係整緊啊，完即係整就嚟做完啦。I am finishing， 因為 now 啦 ，I'm finishing some paperwork now, but as soon as it's done, I will go to the bank and investigate。好啦，我做緊一啲即係一啲文件上嘅嘢 paperwork。咁佢話咧，我一做完咧，我就會過去調查噶啦。I will go to the bank and investigate 就去調查啦。咁啊，接住咧 ，Frank got in his car and drove to the bank. A young policeman was already there. Hello, sir. Thanks for coming. Thank you for coming," said the young policeman. "I usually 乜嘢 at this time, but I have had to come here instead," said a frustrated Frank. 佢話我通常呢個時間咧就係打緊呢一個嘅網球㗎，不過我而家嚟呢度啦咁啊 at this time 咧。你會知道咧，就係佢咧就係佢通常就係呢個時間咧就係打網球嘅。咁I usually play， 咁呢個係佢嘅習慣啦。咁啊習慣，所以就用翻一個 simple present 啦。咁佢就好失意，好唔開心啦。咁啊冇得玩啦。咁佢話好啦，我唯有下個禮拜去啦。咁啊I will play next week instead。咁呢一個亦都可以 I am going to play 都得嘅，即係話我打算下個禮拜先至玩啦。Sorry about that, sir. Don't worry, it's not your fault. When 乜嘢 dangerous Mike 乜嘢 in last night， 咁你會見到尋晚啦。咁尋晚咧即係用 past tense 啦。咁但係你又留意到呢一個咧係個問題嚟嘅。咁即係話呢個係一條問題。用 past tense 嘅，咁 past tense 嘅，咁應該係點樣咧？咁呢個8呢一個咧就係 when did 乜嘢啊 ？Dangerous Mike did 後邊要不變動詞喎 ，break in last night， 即係佢尋晚幾時闖入㗎？咩叫 break in 咧？即係 break in 咧，即係意思咧冇邀請佢，但係佢係闖入去咁嘅意思，闖入間銀行㗎啦。咁佢咧就話係 at 3 o'clock in the morning， 即係深夜3點鐘，所以係 broke in。即係個資料記錄到佢係夜晚3點鐘入去銀行偷咗3萬蚊。Nobody 乜嘢 what happened yet？ 咁啊到而家都冇人知道究竟發生咩事啊 ！yet 即係到而家咧都係毫無頭緒，所以呢一個咧都會用翻 simple present， 用翻現在進行式，現在式就得啦。Nobody knows。嗱呢一題咧就幾難嘅，好多人咧都唔識。記住咧就係 someone somebody。 No one, nobody. No one 兩個字啦 ，nobody。Everyone, everybody。全部咧都會係用一個單數嘅動詞嘅，即係話呢個 no 咧就一定要加 s 嘅。如果係現在式嘅話，好啦，接住有啲 riddles 啦，我哋睇一睇啦。I can be hot and or cold. You can turn me on and off. I drip and flow. What am I？ 哇！呢個好奇怪，又熱又凍，又可以着，又可以閂，開咗佢又可以熄咗佢，跟住又會滴水喎，又會流喎，係咩嚟㗎？咁係乜嘢啊？咩啊？呢個係一個水龍頭咯，水喉咯，就會係 a tap 啦，就係一個水龍頭啦。因為你水龍頭會可以係熱水㗎嘛，開亦都係凍水，你又可以開咗個水喉，亦都可以閂咗個水喉，又會有時滴水啦，跟住又會流好多水喎，就係一個水龍頭啦。You can drive me on roads you have to pay to use me. I can carry a lot of people. I only go to certain places. 咁喺條路上可以揸車啦，但係你又要俾錢喎，先至用我喎。可以裝好多人嘅，但係只會去某一個特定嘅地方嘅啫。一架巴士咯，搭巴士。好啦，接住啦就到 proofreading 啦。David created a detective called Frank。咁Frank 呢個古仔係David 寫噶嘛，咁 created 咧係冇錯嘅，即係創造、塑造咗一個偵探，但係得一個偵探啫嘛，咁所以我哋咧就唔會有 s 嘅呢個 detective。Frank has been a detective for 30 years。咁呢個多咗個 the 字啦 ，for 幾耐就 for 30 years。David wants to be a detective when he grows up。咁點解佢寫個古仔係叫做即係個偵探咧？原來佢自己都想做一個偵探。David enjoys writing stories detectives。好奇怪喎，咁係漏咗一個字啦。David enjoys writing stories 關於啲偵探啊 ，about detectives。David's character Frank went to the bank and investigate。嗱，呢個好多學生咧唔係好識，因為 investigate 就有啲難啦，去偵查。咁呢個咧就唔係個性啊，呢個 David 嘅嗰個故事裏邊嗰個人物啊，阿 Frank 咧就去咗銀行啦，同埋其實呢個調查咧係應該要過去式。你留意下呢個 went 係過去式，咁呢一個咧一樣嘅，大家都係一個因為用 and 去 link up 咗啊嘛，咁所以呢一個 investigate 啦。都係同時咧，都係應該係過去式嘅 investigate。David hasn't 有 not， 即係多咗個 not 字啦，咁所以 hasn't 變 has 啦，又或者個 not 唔要，求其一樣冇咗個字咧，就總之冇咗一個 not 咧就會啱啦。Then suddenly Frank had a brilliant idea about how to catch the thief。咁佢又諗到個好精彩嘅主意啦。跟住佢話 Frank was agitated， 即係好激動啊。No one had come forward with any information。好唔開心，因為竟然係冇人出現話係俾啲資訊佢。He immediately called Jimmy to tell him about it。It 就係嗰個嘅 idea 啦。It had been 3 weeks since the investigation had begun。即係佢已經退休啦，諗住，但係點知仲過咗3個禮拜都毫無頭緒。咁跟住所以咪好激動咯。After all that time, he still didn't have any answers。一啲答案都冇。咁所以咧，一開始就係佢好嬲呢個先，好嬲，因為咧就好激動，因為冇人俾資訊佢哋啦。咁樣咧就已經等咗係3個禮拜啦。嗱，呢一個咧係可以 D 或者 B 先都得嘅，呢個係可以咁樣，即係可以調轉都得，因為佢話係已經3個禮拜啦。而佢就好嬲，因為冇人嚟，或者係佢冇好嬲，然後已經3個禮拜，所以都得嘅呢個 option 或者呢個 option。咁佢突然間諗到個好精彩嘅一個諗法啦，係點樣？咁由 after all that time he still didn't have any answers， 即係話佢一啲答案都冇，但係突然間就諗到個 idea， 於是就 call 阿 Jimmy， 就關於呢件事啦。就係呢個應該係 C 啦。 咁即係話咧，可以係 BDEAC 或者係 DBEAC 都得。好啦，咁跟住之後咧，就 he immediately arrested 能夠捉到佢呢個，相信係最後噶啦。His final case was over， 應該係最後啦。咁我哋睇一睇先啦。While he was playing his first game, Frank arrived， 即係當佢喺度玩緊一個遊戲嗰陣時咧，佢阿 Frank 就到達啦。Frank's idea to catch the thief was to hold a chess tournament， 即係一個嘅圍棋嘅錦標賽喎。點解會咁咧 ？Sure enough, he signed up to the tournament。咁 he 可能係嗰個賊佬啊。He knew that dangerous Mike loved chess and that he wouldn't be able to resist， 唔能夠可以抵制到呢一個嘅即係唔可能抗拒嘅，應該係抗拒呢一個嘅誘惑啊。咁啊，所以呢一度咧就會係應該第一個咧就係 C 啦。佢有個主意就係咩主意咧？又上頭先講咗嗰個 idea， 有個 brilliant idea， 呢個 idea。咁所以咧就落翻嚟呢一度咧，就話佢個 idea 就係舉行一個圍棋嘅比賽。咁啊，舉行個圍棋嘅比賽咧，就接住咧就點解咧？呢個就即刻就解釋啦。個原因就係話，因為佢知道 Dangerous Mike 好中意 chess 嘅。咁就到sure enough he signed， 咁呢個 he 咧就係 Dangerous Mike 啦。咁啊去到 D 啦，就 sign up 啦。咁啊當佢到咧，阿 Frank 咧。即係當佢喺度玩緊個第一個遊戲嗰陣時候 ，Frank 就到達。咁但係點知道個賊佬係中意圍棋嘅咧？咁就好似又冇乜解釋喎，呢一度就冇解釋到點解佢咁中意係玩呢個圍棋喎。好啦，咁啊呢一度啦，咁啊佢就真係可以退休啦，就話阿 Frank 就話啦 ，Well I did it, I caught the criminal， 咁好開心啦。Jimmy 就話 Thank you, Frank。乜嘢 weeks did it take in the end？ 佢話我哋用咗幾多個禮拜啊？幾多啊？咁所以呢個咧就 how many weeks。Now I can finally retire。我而家終於可以退休啦，咁樣。跟住乜嘢 Are you going to do when you retire？ 咁做什麼啦？就係所以係 What are you going to do when you retire？I'm going to travel and spend more time with my family. My first stop is Brazil. That sounds fantastic. 乜嘢 will you be going？ 幾時去呢個時間啦？所以係 When will you be going？ I've booked it already. Great. 乜嘢？點解你揀巴西啊？佢答 Because 就 Why 啦。好啦 ，How far 咧就係講嗰個距離啦。而 how long 咧就係講嗰個嘅時間。咁呢一個咧就 the police asks for advice from Frank。Frank 就答啦 ，the stolen money is 5 kilometers from here。咁呢一個咧係一個距離，所以咧呢一個咧就會係 how 乜嘢咧 how far 啦。how far 乜嘢咧？咁你就將嗰個問題啦，嗰個答案嗰個嘅名詞同動詞調轉。How far is the stolen money？跟住咧 from here 都要寫翻嘅，即係從呢一度去到嗰啲被偷咗嘅錢係即係幾遠啊咁樣。咁 police 又問一條問題 ，Frank 就答咯 ，You should remain in the crime scene to search for evidence for at least 5 days。咁呢一個係一個時間嚟噶嘛，咁所以咧就係 how long。好啦 ，You should remain in the crime scene to search for evidence。咁樣咧 how long？ 咁呢個咧因為 you should 就變咗係 should， 調翻轉頭係個動詞擺先啦。Should we remain in a crime scene？ 即係罪案現場啊 ，to search for evidence。好啦，咁接住啦，即係要應該留喺個罪案現場幾耐去搜集證據咧？咁佢就答就話 You should remain in a crime scene to search for evidence for at least 5 days。咁阿 Frank 又答咯 I have been a detective for 30 years， 即係做咗30年嘅偵探。咁所以咧都係問時間啦，所以係 how long。咁呢一個咧要將個 have 同 I 調轉，但係 I 咧就變翻做 you。Have you been a detective？ 即係話咧你做咗偵探做咗幾耐啊咁樣。咁啊 Frank 又答多條問題咯 My retirement home is only 2 blocks away from the police station. Don't come to find me for cases though。即係話唔好再揾我啦咁係幾遠咧？就係only 2 blocks away。 OK， 咁呢個就係距離啦。咁呢個係由於係距離咧，你就會係 how far。How far 咁你調轉佢啦 ，How far is my 又轉咗 your 啦 ，retirement home 咁 from 呢個要寫埋佢啦 ，home from the police station， 即係從嗰個警察局咧係由屋企去警察局係幾遠咧？咁就係佢就答咧，只係即係兩棟嘅啫。但係佢話千祈唔好再揾我啦，我退咗休啦咁樣。好啦，呢個古仔咧就係講緊阿 Frank is enjoying his retirement trip， 即係佢而家好享受佢嗰個退休嘅旅程啦。咁一開始啦 ，Frank enjoyed the view of the sky while he was on the plane， 即係話因為佢講緊天空啊嘛，咁當然佢喺個飛機度望緊嗰個嘅即係個天空啦。Frank stayed at a 5-star hotel。咁跟住之後咧，係啦，咁while he was staying in Brazil， 咁當佢咧喺巴西度住嗰陣時咧，住一間5星級酒店啦。Frank was overjoyed， 係啦，咁佢好開心啦，發生咩事咧 ？When the hotel informed him that he had won a lucky draw， 咁竟然係好開心，就係因為佢原來贏咗個幸運大抽獎啦。咁Frank had a stomach， 點解咧？就係佢胃痛喎，咁胃痛啦就咁佢就因為咧 when he tried one of the local dishes， 即係食咗啲本地嘢，但係佢食到胃痛。Frank realized he missed his work as a detective， 竟然佢發覺咧，佢退休嘅旅行嗰陣時，發覺佢好掛住佢自己作為一個偵探嘅一個工作啦。咁跟住之後咧 ，when he saw a crime being committed on the streets， 咁喺巴西度好多罪案，佢見到有一單發生啦，咁佢就即係突然間好掛住自己當時以前係一個偵探啦。Frank thus stayed close to the local police。佢咧就即係佢咧就同嗰啲本地即係嗰啲巴西嘅警察咧就即係佢係即係佢係住喺佢哋好近啦。咁while he was providing them with advice， 就俾一啲線索俾佢哋，去令佢可以破案啦。好啦 ，Frank speaks of his retirement trip， 就講翻佢去放假，即係嗰個退休旅行啦。首先啦，就係 first。I was relieved to escape my workbench， 即係話可以咧離開佢呢個工作嘅，即係日日都翻工嘅工作啦。Next, I had a nice time relaxing in Brazil. Then, I saw robbery going on a tourist spot and helped defeat the robbers. After that， 即係之後咧 I missed my work as a detective who protects people。咁樣咧 ，finally， 跟住最尾咧，佢喺個巴西嗰度咧。就 I resumed my work as a detective 咁樣咧，佢因為佢好掛住自己個即係工作啦，佢竟然又再做翻偵探啦。